All the people who helped Camilla get the crown on her head were excluded from that coronation, and they were furious. Not only that, Kate and William were angry too. At 76, King Charles finally broke his silence on a rumor that had lingered quietly through palace halls for years: Camilla's alleged affair with a royal guard. Once dismissed as mere gossip, the claim resurfaced with startling clarity, and the king's candid words left the world reeling. So what truly happened behind closed doors? Was it just an innocent friendship twisted by speculation? Or is there a deeper truth the monarchy tried to keep hidden? This revelation could shake the royal family's image like never before. When the photograph landed in his hands, King Charles did not shout or pound the table. That was never his way. His power had always been in his restraint, in the cold precision of his words. But this time, behind the heavy doors of a private royal chamber, he sent for Camilla. She arrived composed as ever, but she could feel the tension in the air. The king didn't waste time with pleasantries. Holding the image, he demanded an explanation. Camilla gave a short laugh, a sound meant to brush the matter aside. "It's Robert, Charles. You're making too much of it," she said, her tone light as if the photograph were nothing more than a misunderstanding. The king's expression didn't change. His eyes were fixed on her, unblinking, colder than she had seen in years. In that moment, he wasn't just looking at a photograph, he was looking at history. Didn't care if it was a royal guard or someone else. Decades of mistrust flickered through his mind. Scandals splashed across tabloid covers, whispered rumors in palace corridors, and the relentless media circus. Beneath it all, the ghost of Diana lingered, her quiet misery, her wounded dignity. A life lived under the same suffocating glare. The weight in Charles's voice was more than jealousy. It was the heavy burden of a king whose reign already stood on uncertain ground. His illness had made him vulnerable, his grip on stability fragile. One wrong step, one scandal too many, and the image he had fought to rebuild could crumble in an instant. Camilla stiffened. This wasn't the first time she had been accused, judged, or despised. She had survived being the most hated woman in Britain, painted as the villain in a royal tragedy for years. She had outlasted venomous headlines, crude cartoons, and whispers from society's most influential lips. She had faced it all and emerged still standing, crowned queen consort beside the man she had loved for decades. But this was not the court of public opinion, it was the king himself. And his voice was not only suspicion, but a warning. He searched her face, looking for any flicker of truth. She met his gaze evenly, neither confessing nor denying, offering only the shield of her poise. Every word she spoke was measured, designed to reveal nothing, yet her calmness held a strength that neither confirmed nor dismissed the rumors. The silence between them carried its own weight, a refusal that could be seen as either defiance or dignity. The air was thick with unspoken words. For Charles, the matter was not just about loyalty, but about survival. His crown, his marriage, and the fragile trust of a nation. For Camilla, it was not merely about defending herself, but about standing firm in a world that had always demanded she'd justify her presence in the stillness. The photograph lay on the table, a small but potent object. To the world, it was just an image, but to the king, it represented a crack that could widen and threaten to undo them both. So, in that gilded room where titles and crowns meant everything, they faced each other, bound by love, history, the dangerous knowledge that the truth, whatever it was, could never be fully spoken aloud. Why was King Charles hesitant to engage Queen Camilla in argument or heated discussion? Was he losing his grip on authority? Or was this simply his style? What was Charles like when he was younger? His life has been shaped by duty, controversy, and change. Charles Philip Arthur George was born on November 14, 1948, and now reigns as King of the United Kingdom and 14 other Commonwealth realms. His birth occurred during the reign of his maternal grandfather, King George VI, a time when Britain was still rebuilding after World War II. In 1952, his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, ascended the throne, making young Charles heir apparent, role that would define much of his life. 9 years old in 1958, he was named Prince of Wales, a title steeped in centuries of tradition. Its formal investiture took place in 1969, during a grand ceremony at Carnarvon Castle. Charles's education was broad and challenging at times. He attended Cheam School and Gordonstown, institutions known for their discipline and rigor. His schooling also took him far from home, spent 6 months at Timbertop, the campus of Geelong Grammar School in Victoria, Australian experience. That exposed him to a different culture and way of life. Later, he pursued a degree in history at the University of Cambridge before choosing a path of military service. From 1971 to 1976, Charles served with distinction in both the Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy, roles that further instilled in him a strong sense of duty and discipline. His personal life, however, attracted as much public attention as his official duties. In 1981, Charles married Lady Diana Spencer in a ceremony watched by millions worldwide. They had 2 sons, William and Harry, who would later become central figures in the modern monarchy, yet behind the fairy tale image, the marriage faced deep challenges. Both Charles and Diana engaged in highly publicized extramarital affairs. And in 1996, they divorced. Tragedy struck the following year when Diana died in a car crash in Paris, shocking the world and reshaping public attitudes toward the royal family. In 2005, after years of scrutiny and speculation, Mahrez married his longtime companion, Camilla Parker Bowles. Though the union initially stirred controversy, Camilla gradually assumed a significant role within royal life, eventually becoming queen consort upon Charles's accession. Beyond the headlines, Charles built a legacy of philanthropy and advocacy. In 1976, he founded the Prince's Trust, a charity that has since helped thousands of young people through the Prince's Trust, and over time became patron or president of more than 800 charities and organizations. Charles championed causes ranging from education to heritage preservation and was a vocal advocate for environmental conservation, organic farming, and climate change action positions that earned him both praise and criticism. He developed Poundbury, an experimental town in Dorset, reflecting his belief in traditional architecture and community-oriented planning. While he openly criticized genetically modified foods, his promotion of alternative medicine faced skepticism. He also expressed his views through writing, authoring, or co-authoring 17 books on topics from the environment to philosophy. When Queen Elizabeth II passed away in 2022, Charles became king at age 73, the oldest person in British history to take the throne. His reign began with a coronation in 2023, historic event blending ancient ceremony with modern touches. In 2024, a cancer diagnosis forced him to pause many public engagements, marking yet another chapter in a life lived under constant public gaze. From the cold post-war years of his birth to the gilded halls of the monarchy, Charles III's journey has been one of enduring responsibility, personal trials, a determination to shape the world in line with his convictions. Princess Diana's memory seems to torment Charles more after Camilla's affair was proven beyond doubt. Did the trio of Charles, Diana, and Camilla share something in common? Let's explore the details of the affairs Camilla was involved in, long before the weight of a crown rested on her head. Camilla Parker Bowles was already a central figure in one of the most turbulent chapters of modern royal history. She was neither queen nor duchess then, but her presence felt more than spoken of in the life of the man who would one day be king. Her laughter, soft yet knowing, and the lingering glances she exchanged with Prince Charles seemed harmless to outsiders at first. But to Princess Diana, they were unmistakable signs of something deeper, something that gnawed at the fragile trust within her marriage. When the truth eventually surfaced, it was devastating. The fairy tale image of the Prince and Princess of Wales shattered under the weight of reality. The world learned that Charles's heart had never truly left Camilla. Even during the years when his hand belonged to Diana, public opinion, once willing to embrace Camilla as a friend of the royal family, hardened. She became the other woman, a title whispered with disapproval and printed in bold headlines. It was a scandal that not only rewrote royal history, but also changed how the public viewed the monarchy itself. Yet behind the loudest gossip of those years, Another name quietly circulated in certain conversations, Rupert Finch. He, was, no prince, nor a tabloid fixture. Just a royal guard. His occasional appearances near Camilla stirred curiosity among those who paid attention to the subtler movements within royal circles. Finch was, by all accounts, charming and well-connected. His interactions with Camilla were never the subject of open scandal, but to some who observed closely, there was a different kind of energy when he was around, a lightness in her tone, a shift in her expression. At the time, such moments were easy to dismiss. The official narrative portrayed them as nothing more than casual acquaintances sharing polite exchanges at formal events. Many assumed it was the harmless kind of friendship that naturally develops among people moving in the same elite circles. But as the years passed, whispers grew more insistent. There were stories rarely recorded and never confirmed of private conversations at secluded gatherings, of warm exchanges in corners far from the glare of photographers' flashbulbs. No official statement ever linked Camilla and Finch to anything improper. The royal household, ever careful with its language, treated the subject as non-existent. Yet those who claimed to have seen their interactions spoke of an undeniable warmth between them. Something not captured in official photographs but remembered by those present. This quiet, almost invisible thread in Camilla's life remained, overshadowed by the much larger storm of her relationship with Charles. But in the private history of the woman who would one day become queen, it was still part of the tapestry stitched in moments that could never be fully explained to the public. It is in these shadows where royal history often writes its most intriguing lines that this chapter rests. Not loud enough to spark headlines, not scandalous enough to shake palace walls, but just enough to raise a lingering question. In a life defined by one great royal love and one public scandal, was there room for another quieter connection? Gosh, in the rarefied world of royalty, where glances speak louder than declarations and friendships are wrapped in layers of formality, truth is rarely simple. Some stories are written between the lines, waiting for history to decide how much of them should ever be told. Despite all Diana endured in her marriage and the affairs Camilla was said to have had, the world hated Camilla and took her as the the royal fold more fully, gaining trust and acceptance gradually over time. After both Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles ended their respective marriages, Charles made it clear both to those around him and indirectly to the public that his relationship with her was non-negotiable. He understood the storm of criticism swirling around them. Many still saw Camilla as the woman who had contributed to the collapse of his marriage to Diana, and the press was relentless. Determined to shift public opinion, Charles turned to Mark Boland, whom he had hired in 1995 to polish his own image, and tasked him with improving Camilla's public profile. In July 1997, Camilla was involved in a head-on car collision on her way to Highgrove House. Fortunately, neither she nor the other driver sustained serious injuries. But the incident added to the constant media attention surrounding her. As time passed, she began appearing more openly by Charles's side, often serving as his unofficial companion at various events. Their first unmistakable public debut as a couple came in 1999, when they attended a birthday celebration for Camilla's sister at the Ritz London Hotel. Outside, around 200 photographers and reporters from around the world gathered, eager to capture the moment. This marked a turning point, transforming whispers into headlines. By 2000, Camilla accompanied Charles to official engagements in Scotland, slowly stepping into the public sphere in a more formal capacity. In 2001, she took on a public role as president of the Royal Osteoporosis Society, ROS, giving her a platform to be seen as more than just a royal companion, and introducing her to a wider audience through charitable work. That same year, she had a highly symbolic moment, meeting Queen Elizabeth II for the first time since her relationship with Charles became public. The meeting took place at the 60th birthday celebration of former Greek King Constantine II. Seen by observers as a subtle but powerful sign of royal approval, in the years that followed, Camilla's presence within royal circles became increasingly visible. In 2002, the Queen invited her to participate in the Golden Jubilee celebrations, even seating her in the royal box behind the Queen during a Buckingham Palace concert. Charles, protective of her, reportedly paid privately for 2 full-time security staff to ensure her safety. Although Camilla maintained her own residence, Ray Mill House, purchased in 1995 in Wiltshire, she eventually moved more fully into the royal fold, cementing her place in the monarchy and public life. Clarence House became Camilla's official London residence in 2003, marking another step in her deeper integration into royal life. By 2004, she was accompanying Charles to almost all his engagements, including a widely covered visit to Scotland's annual Highland Games. Media speculation about their engagement grew intense, and public polls began showing increasing support for their marriage. However, many supporters of Princess Diana remained unconvinced, expressing their disapproval by writing letters to national newspapers, especially after wedding plans were announced. This criticism later morphed into online parody, with internet trolls creating fake Diana fan pages on Facebook and TikTok to mock the couple. Despite this backlash, Camilla's influence steadily grew. By 2023, The Independent named her the most influential woman of the year on its influence list, a distinction she retained in 2024 and 2025, symbolizing her remarkable transformation. From one of Britain's most controversial figures to one of its most prominent and powerful women, her journey from public scorn to royal acceptance was neither swift nor without resistance. But it stands as one of the most notable image rehabilitations in modern royal history. Yet, the heartbreak of betrayal lingered. How would the royal palace handle a scandal of such magnitude? The palace acted swiftly and with calculated discretion, working behind the scenes to smother the embers before they could ignite into a full-blown crisis. Root, whose name had been whispered too many times, was quietly instructed to step back from public life. No interviews, no photos, no chance encounters for the press. His absence was meant to be invisible, but noticeable enough to quell curiosity. Camilla, ever the seasoned royal, continued her official duties with a practiced smile, shaking hands, cutting ribbons, and making speeches with flawless composure. Yet those close to her noticed a slight stiffness in her shoulders, a fleeting hesitation before the cameras flashed. She was playing her role, but the strain was unmistakable. Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere was taut like a stretched wire ready to snap. Conversations dropped to whispers, and courtiers exchanged guarded glances. It felt as if the very walls held their breath. One ill-timed headline or careless word could shatter the fragile facade. Amid this tension, Princess Anne, King Charles's sister and trusted confidant, stepped in with blunt wisdom. She urged her brother to tread carefully, reminding him that in the public eye, suspicion alone can be as dangerous as the truth. A monarch's image is like fine glass, it cannot be mended once cracked. Her advice carried weight, grounded in years of experience watching the monarchy weather storms. But King Charles found little comfort in her counsel. At night, sleep eluded him. Alone in the dim light of his private chambers, he lay staring at the ceiling, haunted by memories he wished to forget. The dread was familiar, a cold sensation wrapped tightly around his chest. History, it seemed, was not only repeating itself but rushing toward a climax, with ghosts of past royal scandals looming. In these quiet hours, when the grandeur of his position felt like a cage, Charles wrestled with unspoken questions. Was this just rumor, or was there truth hidden in the shadows? And if truth existed, did he have the strength to face it? Age and ill health had begun stealing the stamina he once relied on. The demands of the crown weighed heavier, not only on his shoulders, but on his spirit. Torn between loyalty to the institution and personal longing, he stood on dangerous ground. The choice between defending the monarchy's dignity and confronting the reality of his private life was not new. It had haunted his family for generations. But this time, the stakes seemed sharper, the risks greater. The king remained trapped in the cruel paradox that has undone monarchs before him. The crown demands a spotless image, yet the heart cannot be so easily controlled. Deep inside, he feared the story's ending was already written, and that he lacked the strength to change it. So what do you think? Did Camilla truly have an affair with the royal guard, or was King Charles right in his restraint? Love to hear your thoughts.